What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are installing the final piece to round out the build on my K24 swapped Subaru BRZ. The finishing touch, the pièce de résistance. I have been stoked to get this one put on there, so let's get into it. And the piece in question that we are referring to is a custom laser engraved spark plug cover. As you can see, some guys really like the exposed spark plugs. The magnesium valve cover that Skunk 2 makes even doesn't have the sidewalls of the valve cover raised up as much, so it forces the spark plugs to stand out. Some folks really like that. I don't mind it, but if I can have a nice little custom centerpiece right here to really make this whole engine bay just pop, that's what I'm gonna do. And the one that I got has an engraving that is super relevant to me. Here it is. Obviously you can't really see it all that well, but here, yeah, if I bounce it off the light, there you go. It says Downshift Racing. Now, if you guys don't know what that is, if you guys haven't seen this brand before, I have, in the last month or so, launched my merchandise brand called Downshift Racing. So if you guys want to know a little bit more about the brand, if you want to check out any of the merch, we've got black shirts, black hoodies, white hoodies, hats, and we've also got some sticker packs. Now, if you guys are potentially interested in supporting me on a more personal level, I have also started a Patreon. It is patreon.com/buildingwithsean. So if you guys want to help expedite the process of getting this thing to even greater heights than we've already achieved just finishing this swap, head on over to the Patreon, check it out, and if you're interested, I'm not, baiting anybody into trying to, pay for it, but if you're interested, if you want to support me on a little bit more of a personal level, then the Patreon is where you can do that. And one of the extra perks of the Patreon is that you will get access to the Downshift Racing Discord. So we've got a whole bunch of channels set up for different car builds, show off your builds, updates on my projects. It's a level of basically in the know. It's a level of information on what builds are coming up next, what I'm working on, what parts are coming for the different things, all that kinds of stuff. So you guys will be able to essentially have insider knowledge on what's coming in the future before anybody on YouTube gets to see it. Now, this is a very nice piece and all, but if you can imagine, it's a black engine bay with black spark plugs, and this is a black piece. So essentially once it's down in there, it's gonna be kind of like this, where you can see through the letters and the actual engraving doesn't really pop out at all. So what I have done is I got some 1/8 inch thick acrylic sheet off of Amazon. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take, I'm gonna figure out essentially how this needs to go on there. I'm gonna make some marks and I'm gonna cut out a sheet of this white acrylic. You can kind of see, yeah, it's just flat white gloss acrylic. And then we're gonna attach this onto the underside so that these letters for the branding on the car really stand out, because the whole engine bay is essentially black and red. So having this nice pop of white lettering, I think, is gonna look fantastic. And if it doesn't, I can always either, paint the acrylic to have red lettering underneath or something along those lines if I wanted it. If I think the white's too flashy and I wanna kind of tone it down, make it a little bit more subtle, we can figure that out. But we're gonna start with white, and we're gonna go from there. So I'm gonna go ahead and take some measurements on this bad boy. We're gonna head over to the bandsaw and we're gonna start cutting. I mean, that's about what I expected. All right, and so this is more or less what we end up with. It's just 1/8 inch thick. I didn't even really measure out, how wide and how long this is. I just marked it for, how much space I'm gonna need to fit behind the lettering. So let's take a look and see what this looks like. Yeah, that right there, that in the engine bay, that's gonna be so incredibly sick. I'm thrilled with how this piece in particular turned out. Obviously, you guys probably saw that as I was pushing the piece through the bandsaw, I realized that it wasn't gonna be able to go through all the way. So I wasn't just gonna be able to push it all the way straight down, have one nice clean cut. So I had to pull out the angle grinder and use that to cut through the centerpiece, which ended up, kind of resulted, I don't know if you guys are even gonna be able to see that. It's a little bit too bright. But yeah, a little bit of a rough edge there, but I took some sandpaper to it and, smoothed it out a little bit. But again, it's gonna be underneath. No one's gonna see the edges. So pretty, pretty satisfied with how this turned out. Again, if this doesn't work, I've got way more. I can try it again with a different cutting method and try and get a slightly, cleaner result. But it's gonna be under the actual spark plug cover, so I don't think it really matters all that much. I think it is going to have the desired effect. Now, how am I going to attach this onto the bottom of the actual cover? Well, as all car things inevitably resort back to, 3M double-sided tape. This is the real narrow stuff. So essentially, I'm just gonna take this and run a bead all the way around, the long side of the edge so that it doesn't show under the actual letters. And then we're gonna press it onto the underside of the cover, take the cover, bolt it down, and that's pretty much gonna wrap it up. This is the final piece. I mean, it runs, it drives, it's pretty much all good to go. I'll give you guys an update on the status of where it is and why I haven't been driving it all that much later on in the video. So let's go ahead, slap some tape on this, and keep moving. Just taped it all the way around. So before I pull the tape off, I want to make sure that that's not gonna show at all. Yeah. So I've got it tape side down as if it was going to be sticking to the back of this. And I think you can tell that the red backing of the tape just barely clears. It even clears the little dot in the top of the eye up here. All right. So you can see it there. Now you can't see it, and you can't see it anywhere else. So I think we're good. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and rip the seal off of all these little pieces and slap it on there. The backing of the tape is off. Yep, that's plenty sticky. So now we just need to set this. I really wish I could use either of my two workbenches, but since this car engine swap has been done, the whole garage, including all of the workspace, has become a bit of a giant mess. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take this guy and try and line this up as we set it down onto here. Just get it to stick just barely. There we go. Press it on all the way around. That's doing, I don't know about you guys, that's doing it for me. That is doing it for me. I am stoked on this, if you guys couldn't tell. This is a pretty kind of monumentous event for me. The launch of my brand, stamping the car as a part of that brand. This is pretty big. It's the least significant part on this entire engine swap, but it might just be the most valuable to me. So yeah, feels pretty good. All right, well, that's enough yapping. Let's just go ahead. I gotta find out where my hardware is. Gotta find my hardware, and then just, it's only 2 bolts. It's only 2 bolt holes. One here and one there. So let's go ahead and get it done. Go! Oh, oh. I am pretty dang satisfied with that. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, buddy. I don't know if you guys are nearly as pumped about this as I am, but having that big white lettering pop against all the red, silver, black, everything else in the engine bay, really having that just go off. Downshift racing, that's me. That's me. That right there. That's me, dog. This is mine. That is, I think, it's a bit, you know, it's not a super exciting install, right? For me, this is an extremely satisfying and gratifying final piece of the puzzle, the finishing touch. So say you're at a car meet, you're walking around, you're seeing some mildly interesting cars, and you're like, oh, another black Subaru BRZ. Let's see, the hood's open, let's see what this guy's got in it. Hey, yo, he got the K-Swap turbo rear wheel drive BRZ with the, what's downshift racing? Maybe I should go look that up. And then they find out it's just me, just a big goofball. And that's pretty much gonna wrap up this video and honestly wrap up this engine swap. Now, that does not mean that the build is done. It means that the engine swap is done until something inevitably falls apart because I put it together wrong. But the build goes on. The build continues. We've got, I'm working on a lot of stuff in the background right now, trying to make a lot of things happen behind the scenes that you guys aren't necessarily super privy to. But to give you guys a little bit of maybe some answers to some questions that y'all might have, why have we not seen any driving videos of this car since it's been done in early February, right? Where's it been? It's been 2 months, the better part of 2 months, 2.5, whatever it's been, since we did the dyno tune and I got to drive it for the first time. Well, if you recall, when I started this swap, I lived in South Carolina. I now live in Georgia. So I've been fighting with the South Carolina DMV. I've been calling them at least once a week to send me my South Carolina title. And so as of last Monday, I finally got my hands on the title to this car, because in order to make it street legal, it has to have a Georgia title and Georgia registration. So now that I have the title in my grubby little mitts, I can take that to the titling office, transfer it to Georgia, do the registration, and man, we're gonna be cooking. So give me a week or two just to work out all the kinks and logistics, but there's gonna be a lot more content of this coming very, very soon. Not just driving stuff, extra upgrades, extra mods, more fun stuff, because it's been the last 3 years essentially of just working on the engine swap and just coming out here most days of the week and most weekends, just grinding away on this very difficult thing to get assembled. Now we get to do the fun stuff. We get to do the big brake kit. We get to do the cage, the seats, the harnesses, the steering wheel, the digital dash, all of the different, that's most of the interior upgrades, but other interior stuffs. Maybe a different set of wheels coming in the future. We'll figure that out. I like the ones that it has for now. We'll see. Maybe a different set of wheels. Maybe a little wide body kit in the future. I don't know. That's way down the road. Definitely a different wrap, because this one is very old and is in need of some help. But I've also got a very exciting, very incredibly exciting announcement coming up very soon. I'm not sure if that's going to come out next week or the following week, but very, very big things coming in the future. So stick around. I appreciate you guys so much for following this entire engine swap build. I just want to say that I appreciate every single one of you for following along over the last 2.5 to 3 years of doing this engine swap. And now that it's done, we get to finally reap the rewards. So thank you guys so much. I can't thank you all enough. I gained 500 subscribers in the month of February, and I just am floored. I'm blown away. Now I started my own company, leasing my own merchandise, trying to get some things going. So yeah, it's all very exciting, but I wouldn't be able to do any of this without all of you guys. So again, I know I sound like a broken record. Thank you guys so much for following. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up down below. Subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date on everything new that's going to be coming up with this thing, and some very exciting stuff coming in the next couple of weeks here. And until next time, build your dreams.